Welcome to Java Topic 4. Today we're going to be talking about variable types. Now, there's two types of variable types in Java. One is primitive variables and the other is object, or commonly known as reference variables. Now, primitive variables, they hold primitive types. Now, these types include ints, doubles, and booleans. Int variables have 4 bytes, double variables take 8 bytes, and boolean variables take 1 bit. So as you can see, their size differences vary upon the variable that you're kind of holding. And reference variables, they reference to object of a class. So a string is a perfect example of this variable. And the string is actually dependent upon the string provided, and the size can be whatever you kind of want it to be, right? There is no limitation upon a string. And a string is a sequence of characters in double quotes. Now let's kind of analyze the other variables that we have. We have strings, which as we just said, they can hold text, right? And make sure you always put the quotation marks as we discussed in previous videos. Now the integers, right, or commonly known as int, make sure you always have it lowercase int, because what this is it's going to store integers, which are whole numbers, without decimals, because it only stores 4 bytes. Now doubles, they can store 8 bytes, and it can store floating point integers. Now the float is actually another integer type or variable type, and it holds floating point numbers with decimals, positive and negative. Then we have character, which stores single characters, such as A, or then we can have a B in it. And for these, since these are actually texts, we would need single quotes, not double quotes, single quotes. Then we have the boolean, which is just true or false, and this can be with 8 zeros or 8 ones, and the 8 zeros will mean true and the 8 ones will mean false, so make sure you know that. Now, what fun is Java if we don't have variables, right? Variables kind of simplify things and make things complex as well. Now, there's 3 steps in making a variable properly. Now, when you want to declare a variable, which is the first step, you have to tell Java the data type and the name of the variable. So when you declare a variable, it's going to also declare the size that it can store. So let's say I say int x. That means I declared the variable x, and the size is going to be 4 because it's an int, 4 bytes. Now, primitive variables, they have a fixed amount of memory, and you cannot change the amount of bytes. So whatever the bytes are, that's the amount of things you can store. Now, string concatenation is another thing that's very important in variables for strings or reference variables, because that means you can continuously add on to the string, or you can take off from the string. And this happens when you use the plus sign as a concatenation tool, because it's going to be able to add value onto the other strings. And we'll see examples of that in a minute, so just make sure you hang on. So after you declare a variable, right, what will you do? Well, you're going to initialize the variable. You're going to give it a value. So then you're going to take, let's say as we had int x, we're going to take that and we're going to do x equals 0. We've initialized the value. It's the first time we're giving it a value. Now the next step is going to be assigning the variable. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change the first value. So it's going to be x is going to become 10. Now, there's another couple of things that we need to know about variables, is that the word final is going to make a value constant, so it does not change throughout. So an example would be final double pi equals 3.14. This means that pi will never change again in the program. So how about we take a quick look. Now if we want to change pi and we want to make it something like 3.1415, we probably won't be able to do that because we've already hard-coded the value to be 3.14 because we have final. So if we were to try to change the value, Java would most likely throw us an error because we are violating a core rule. And as you can see, this will show an error because pi is already created a final variable. So this is illegal. Okay, now for concatenation with strings. What if we want to add upon this letters string? Well, we can just do simply letters plus equals, and we have letters, and we can just do plus whatever new string we want. This will add on this thing, and we can hello, please subscribe to this channel, right? And this will actually now print a new value. This will print hello, please subscribe to this channel instead of just simply hello, please subscribe. And this is very important because this allows us to actually print newer things, update our strings without actually creating new variables. And that's pretty impressive because, as we need to know, it's very important that we are able to update and change things so that we aren't creating more and more variables that can create, a nuisance into our programs. And so as you can see, if we keep running this, letters, which is the newest updated variable, becomes something like hello, please subscribe to this channel. Now as you can see, because we added letters, this is actually creating a issue right here, right? We can see it's printing hello, please subscribe. And it's doing that because we are adding letters again. Now you might be wondering, what if this was just a new string, right? But since it's not a new string, we're already concatenating. That's a big issue that most people don't see. We wouldn't need to do that. This is already being added when it does plus equals. If you do want to create it, you can create a new string, but in this scenario, we aren't creating a new string, and so we wouldn't need to do all of that, and we can simply just have that print hello, please subscribe to this channel without doing the concatenation 2 times. So make sure that you guys understand how string concatenation works, and I'll see you in the next video.